how would you advise someone who has 2 to 3 days a week to train and wants to build muscle? Any program or routine would you recommend in my case? Thank you. So, Andrew, Jerome and I kind of discussed this earlier because we were aware that it came up as a question. And I think we've got the same thoughts on it. So, what did you say earlier, Jerome?
Yeah, I would recommend the Big Five, kind of body by science type workout, but basically a full body workout focusing on your compounds, horizontal push and pull, a vertical push and pull, some kind of compound leg movement or a hip hinge. Do that 2 to 3 times a week as just a starting point and stick to that hard for 12 weeks. And after 12 weeks, if you're not making progress, then you could look at either reducing it down to twice a week or possibly having a consultation with Jonathan. But if you're still making progress at 3 times a week, don't change a thing. 6, 8, 12 weeks. And you don't need to change until there's an impetus for change, until something's not working right. But just pick some basic full body routine, work it 2 to 3 days a week, 3 if you can tolerate it, 2 if 3 might be a little bit much. Work those sets as hard as you can, train as close as you can to failure, and be consistent and track that for a long enough period of time. So I would just say Big Five exercises. And if you want to throw in a set of bicep curls or tricep push downs or lateral raises or something else, by all means, throw it in. But based around the Big Five, 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 sets, push as hard as you can. And if you're not making progress after a few months, then I would look at probably booking a consultation. But you need some frame of reference, and you need enough consistency to be able to tell what's working and what's not. So any workout routine that Jonathan or I or anybody recommends is always a starting point. And if you do it long enough, you'll always have to make some adjustment at some point. Jonathan and I still make adjustments in our workouts based on what we're trying to accomplish or how our body responds. It's a continually ongoing process, but any routine that you have should probably be followed as closely as you can for at least 4 to 6 weeks so you can kind of gauge its effectiveness. And then you make a small change and you see how your body responds.
Yeah, I want to emphasize the consistency aspect of what Jerome just correctly said. So, you're looking at what you're going to do over a long period of time. Now, bear in mind, people like Jerome and myself have been training for a very long time. The best results we've had are when we've actually either been a complete novice, which might be yourself, like an amateur novice sort of thing. So then you're going to get newbie gains. But then past that point, the best results we've had is when we've tracked things meticulously, we've been dedicated to the cause, we've stayed on plan, we've been consistent, we've not taken weeks off the gym at a time, we've measured everything we've done, we've identified the weaknesses in our training, we've been critically analysing things we've done from week by week. We've made the adjustments from that point. You don't need to make as many adjustments as what people say or believe. And I think that one thing that I think probably caused a lot of the issues we've had, at least in the past, in terms of the misconceptions of bodybuilding, is that we need to shock the muscles. You're right, you do need to give them a novel stimulus, but we don't need to shock them in the sense of using a different exercise. There will be exercises that we will be using the majority of our training career. Myself, I don't like very many, if any, dumbbell movements. I find for me they're just problematic for what I'm trying to achieve. There are no some pro bodybuilders that use dumbbell movements for most of their chest workouts and back workouts. So, you'll find your own way, I think, eventually. But the only way you're going to know that is if you stay consistent, find what does and doesn't work.
And the more consistent you can be, and the less often you adjust one tiny variable, the better you're going to be able to see how you respond. So if everything is exactly the same for 12 weeks, 3 times a week, 3 sets an exercise, if you notice your progress is slowing down or it stopped, you could either take that down to 2 times a week or you could go down to 2 sets. I probably wouldn't try and adjust both at the same time, because then you don't know which one is having the more profound effect should you start seeing progress again. So consistency is going to be your best friend. The more you can stick to one particular type of routine, the same movements, try and keep everything as close to the same as you possibly can. And when you stop making progress for a couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks with no strength gains, no increase in time under load, anything like that, then you can start looking at manipulating the other variables.
Yeah, perfectly well said.